I live right in Doylestown, so it's all been a really weighing on my mind that this is a part of my community, that this is happening right down the road. So this command center went active in April 2013. So there is direction of drone attacks around the world coming from this very spot. And for my personal belief, I do not think that we end terror or in any way reduce it by bringing terror to other countries, to other communities.
We're here because we oppose drone warfare and the fact that they are using this base to be complicit in the war crimes that the U.S. is involved in Afghanistan, Iraq, and not only places where we're more officially at war, but places we're not officially at war, like Pakistan, Yemen, and Somalia. We've been using these drones to kill innocent people, to kill people we know nothing about, to kill people that we just claim are militants without trying to capture them, without giving them a chance for surrendering, without a trial, without a jury, without a judge, without a sentence. And this role of playing God is creating more enemies around the world. It's perpetuating the military-industrial complex and the endless state of war. And we're here to say we've had enough of it, that we want to live in peace, that we want to use our resources not to go around the world killing people, but to build up our own country, take people out of poverty, start the green revolution, give everybody the health care and the education they deserve. There are so many better things that we could do with our money than creating new enemies.
At this drone war command center are conducting war in our name and killing innocent people thousands of miles from here by pushing buttons. This is a remote control push button war, and we're here to say no to that kind of war. Yeah. Not in our name. Not in God's name.
Not in God's name.
Our God of love, our God of life, our God of peace calls us into the mission of peacemaking. This is a challenging mission because it's so seductive to say, well, the buttons they're pushing there, how could that be hurting people? But it does. And they're so far away from here. Most of them, almost all of them, Muslims being killed. So there's an Islamophobia undercurrent, but there's also a moral, or rather, shall I say, an immoral and unethical undercurrent. And so we call on our brothers and sisters inside that are operating these drones to search your conscience, listen for God's voice, and join us out here on the side of life, on the side of peace, for your own sake, because drone operators suffer from PTSD at a higher rate than people on the actual battlefield. And so we're here in the name of our various faiths and the name of our various ethical traditions. We're here to say no to drone warfare, no to this killing in our name, and yes to the alternative of peaceful engagement, of proactive, just peacemaking.
Generally, when we think of drone war, we think of the children and the people who are at the other end of the missiles. And we should. We should. They're the primary victims. But the people who are looking at the monitors, looking at the computer monitors, stalking people, basically watching the missiles go in and then see the aftermath, they too are being victimized. And there's a high degree of what's being called moral damage. And that is the damage that's done to our moral psyche, our sense of right and wrong when we leave the job, all of that. So I want to say we're here with as much concern about the drone war operators that are working here as the Pakistanis and the Afghanistanis and the Somalis and the Yemenis who are being subject to drone strikes. And we have a banner over there that reads, "Dear drone war operators, stop the killing, just walk away. Your neighbors, love your neighbors."
The way to change people's hearts and minds is not by dropping bombs on them. If that was the way to go about it, the job that I was doing 8-9 years ago at CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, would have finished the job. It has not finished the job for a reason, and that is because the program does not work.
Amen.
I often wonder, what if we devoted a third or half of our resources using these very same drones and instead dropped food, water, seeds, clothing, pamphlets saying, "We love you and we want to coexist on this planet with you," as opposed to a missile randomly here or there lodging itself into a vehicle or a bedroom at night. Strategically, the program does not work. Operationally, the program does not work. Yet, the programs are expanding. They're expanding because they are self-feeding programs. It's a monster that is eating its own tail infinitely until we get in the way and stop it. And we can stop it. We are here today for a reason. There is a growing movement of other intelligence officers, other analysts who are stepping forward right now and speaking. We are small still in the grand scheme of things, but we are growing. We can see that. We can feel that. And if I could speak to the enlisted soldiers, 99% of whom mean well, the airmen, the officers, those who have a sense of duty, who want to fight a good fight, it is to know this: you are actually making the world less safe. You are causing more harm than good, and the proof is right before your eyes.
Drones are so bad because they're dangerously seductive. They make us think that we are killing the bad guys and protecting ourselves when all they're doing is making it easier to get involved in new wars, to use military intervention instead of political solutions. And we think that we have no right to be pressing a button from the comfort of bases in our own country, not putting ourselves at risk at all, and deciding who should live and who should die. If any other country were doing this, if any country in the Muslim world, God forbid, would be doing this, we would be at the United Nations yelling bloody murder and actually using our military to take them down.
As I kind of reflect on everything we're doing here today, I actually took some photos and put it on my Facebook, and I actually have people from Pakistan right now who are activists who are actually commenting with thumbs up and with a lot of thanks. And so I want to let everyone know that even in real time right now, there's people in Pakistan who actually appreciate the solidarity, and I wanted to relay that to everyone here today. So we're here at Horsham Air Guard Center, and I think that as we kind of reflect on the future, it may look like it's a long path, but what we've seen here today is folks who came out in the heat, talking about justice, reflecting and witnessing the injustices of these drone attacks and the way that the families have been impacted and killed, and the pain and suffering that it's caused in the world. And I just want to kind of relay the message that people in Pakistan are already telling me right now, that they really appreciate the solidarity. And I hope that these bridges that we're creating now to create peace can be solidified. And I hope that we can shut down this center, end Islamophobia, and end drone attacks once and for all. Thank you.
Some years back, a book was written that became the primer that it continues to be on drone warfare. It was written by Medea Benjamin, who you've maybe seen on TV, not really interrupting the president, but instructing the president. And he actually said we should all listen to this woman. And so we're going to listen to this woman because Barack Obama told us to listen to this woman. Please welcome Medea Benjamin from Code Pink.
Well, I'm so happy to be here because I've heard for so long about the protests and the vigils that were happening at this Air Guard station, and always thought, I want to be out there with these folks because these are my people, and we are the soul of this nation. When I had a chance to engage President Obama on this issue, I brought up the name of this young man. And here I see his picture. I just picked it off the floor right here. Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki. And I said to President Obama, what about the 16-year-old American citizen you killed with drones? Do we not owe any kind of explanation to his family? Now, we killed his father as well, but his grandfather lives in Yemen. My partner, Tig Barry, and I, and a group met with the grandfather in Yemen. A lovely, lovely man. He wanted to know why his grandchild was killed. He wanted to know why the U.S. targeted a group of teenagers in Yemen after they were finishing dinner and all of a sudden killed by a Hellfire missile, incinerated by a Hellfire missile. The grandfather was a gentle, very loving man. He said, I've taken this issue into the courts in the United States, but the U.S. government refuses to even come into the courts and testify and acknowledge that a drone strike killed my 16-year-old grandchild. Refuses to even acknowledge it. Well, years after that, because of the pressure, the government has acknowledged it, but they've never explained why. And in fact, it was an assistant to President Obama who said he should have had a different father, as if it's okay to kill a teenager because we don't like his father. But you know why we get away with this? It's part of the issue of racism and Islamophobia. If this young man had white skin and was of the Christian faith, the U.S. would not only have acknowledged it, would be bending over backwards to say, it was a mistake, we're so sorry, we're so sorry. Here's $10 million for your loss. Well, of course, no money could ever cover the loss of a child. But the point is that because Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki was a Muslim and not white, the U.S. could get away with killing a 16-year-old American citizen. So if you take that and say, well, how many 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old Muslims have we killed in Afghanistan, in Yemen, in Pakistan? The answer is thousands of them. And the fact that we say, oh, well, he was a teenager and he was a male and he was living in Pakistan and the tribal areas, that means that he is a militant. He's a teenager and he's living in Yemen. He must be a militant. That is literally the way the U.S. is justifying killing teenagers. The vast majority of people we are killing are 17 years old, 18-year-old, 19-year-olds. They are our children. We are killing children. We are killing people who barely know about the United States. Well, that's a question we have to ask because our government lies to us. They say these people we are killing are imminent threats to us. Do you think these 17, 18, 19-year-old boys in Yemen are an imminent threat to you? Do you think they're trying to come over here to get you? They are trying to do something in their own country and going about it the wrong way. But you know what? It is not our issue to get involved in. They are from Yemen. We are not from Yemen. The people fighting in Pakistan, they are from Pakistan. We are not from Pakistan. We cannot solve their problems for them. We should not be so arrogant to think that we can. In fact, we are part of the problem. We are creating extremism. We are creating enemies. We are responsible for ISIS. Were it not for the U.S. invasion of Iraq, ISIS would not exist today. Were it not for the U.S. drone strikes in Yemen, there wouldn't be thousands of people that have joined extremist groups. So when you say to your friends that you are against U.S. involvement in these wars, and they say, but we have to be the ones to come in and try to solve the problem. Tell them that they are the irrational ones, because for the last 15 years we have been saying that. And has extremism diminished? Have extremist groups folded up their tents and left? No, on the contrary. They have multiplied. They have expanded. They have gone beyond a few countries to now be in dozens of countries. And the more we use our killer drones and our other weapons of war, thousands of miles overseas, in conflicts that we helped to create and should never have been in, the more we will guarantee that this military-industrial complex just keeps feeding itself, just keeps growing, and just keeps eating up more and more people and leaving more and more death and agony in its wake. And so I'm honored to be here with you outside this Air Guard station to say no to drone warfare, to say no to warfare, to say no to violence, whether it's violence that we're perpetuating overseas or violence that the gun makers are profiting off here in our own country, in our own cities, killing people in our own communities. It's all part of a profit-making enterprise of killing, of murder, of war crimes, and we've got to stop it. Thank you for inviting me to be with you. Let's keep going until peace reigns. Power to the peaceful. Thank you.
There's the polarization of politics and a complete abandonment of the ability to make craft compromises in order to make decisions has kept us all locked in a state of paralysis, which I think, fortunately for all of us, that the veil is beginning to be stripped away from our undemocratic processes at this time, and that is an opportunity for the will of the people and the understandings of the people in this country to come together in a unified way, to be thinking about how, understanding that the environment and war and economic issues are all one.
We got to be determined. We got to have faith. And the faith-based community is has an institution around it. It has the ability to persevere over the long haul. And so I think that's a special strength that sometimes people of faith can bring. The other people of conscience can also be committed over the long haul. But for us who don't see the near-term results, I do think that it's a blessing to have this gift of faith.